Hey, Shalom. Before we begin this lesson, we want to start off by giving all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Bahasham,
Bahasham,
Yahweh Shai,
Yahweh Shai,
Bahasham,
Bahasham,
Rachakwadash.
Rachakadash.
Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone that taught us this truth. Sincere Shalom to the hopeful elect out there learning and teaching. Shalom. All right, so today's lesson is going to be on self discipline, okay, which is essential for this truth. All right, so I'm going to read off the definition of self discipline: the ability to control one's feelings and overcome one's weaknesses, the ability to pursue what one thinks is right despite temptations to abandon it. Right, so that's going into controlling yourself. All right, you may not always feel like that. You may have temptations to do other things, but discipline is a form of applying order in your life by just being uncomfortable and doing what needs to be done anyway. All right, so that's why here in a similar section it says self-control, right? Because you're controlling your emotions essentially. You know, your emotions tell you when you get off work, let's go watch TV, go play a video game. What you ought to do is pray to the Lord first. All right, and you know, if you ain't read the Bible, go into the scriptures. Right, get ready for that video that we know we have to make. But
Khan.
you know, every
Yeah.
day, oh,
Yeah, that
God,
goes into that stoic mindset, bro.
God,
You know, being a stoic means you're able to do away with or like, just put away certain things without, you know, like you're undergoing temptation, but it's like, bro, I don't need that.
mm-hmm.
So yeah, like you said, in this truth, that's how we're supposed to walk.
Exactly. I'm glad you brought that up. Let's get that stoicism. Stoicism, this is the AI overview. It says is an ancient Greek and Roman philosophy focused on living a virtuous life through reason, self-control, there it is, man, discipline, in other words, and by accepting what is beyond your control. Right, and that's a form of mental discipline, not dwelling on things that don't matter. If something's done, it's already done, right? You lose your job, oh well, on to the next. Now,
Khan, yeah. It's like, man, so like were you saying something?
no, no, you're good. Go ahead.
Con, yeah, like just the other day, bro, my cat, he thought it was a good idea to run away. And I sat there, it took me some time to just like kind of, I don't know, go through the motion. But I
Mm,
sat there, it took, like, I was like, bro, man, if he ran away, like, man, fuck it. Like, that's his life. Yeah, he'll survive. He's done it before.
yeah,
And then I was just like, man, it took some time to come to terms with it, but, you know, it was just like, whatever. But
yes,
eventually,
can't control.
kind
Cat
but
runs away,
event
or your woman runs away. You know what I'm saying? She finds another. We in captivity, man. We understand that we're gonna go through these hardships. You know,
kind
your job, same shit I just mentioned. Don't get too comfortable at a job. But ultimately, going into self discipline, uh, this truth is a discipline. Okay. Here's another definition of self discipline: the ability to restrain or guide or control oneself. Right? It's basically the same thing. But like I said, also, discipline, it has multiple definitions. I was telling the brother about that earlier because, we'll think of discipline and we'll think about self control. But here's another definition of discipline: a branch of knowledge, typically one studied in higher education. Right? It's a study, something that has a big amount of knowledge that needs to be learned. Okay. Here's an example: sociology is a fairly new discipline. Right. And some examples of disciplines are uh, martial arts, boxing, that's a martial art, but uh, basketball, any type of sport, right? Uh,
Con.
yeah, you got any up?
Yeah, like when I was into, for an example, I think a better example for it would be when I was running cross country.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, man, that takes so much discipline because first off, nobody wants to run a mile.
Mm-hmm.
Bro, like your lungs feel like they getting ready to collapse or something once you hit that mile. Once you hit 2 miles, bro, it's just like you kind of just accepted your fate. But the thing is, you gotta have that discipline
Yeah,
to just keep moving and not really care about what the outcomes are gonna be, but just keep moving,
con.
you know?
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like once you reach a certain point and the pain becomes unbearable, you're just like, fuck it. I just become pain, Like that guy David Goggins talks about, he'll be outside running in 108-degree weather, you know, and he's just like, it's 108, but who gives a shit? It's like your mind crosses this barrier where it's like, okay, this is just what we do now. There's no emotion behind it. It's just like instinct, you know? And that's a big part of it. So yeah, man, just wanted to bring out some of these different definitions. Here's another one. It says the practice of training people to obey rules or a code of behavior with punishment or other undesired consequences for those failing to comply. And that's more of what the Lord does to us. The Lord will chastise us, being his children, just like your parents used to whoop your ass as a child, put you in, no going out, whatever punishment they gave you. Um, and basically, discipline is a form of self punishment, all right? Because you're making yourself do something you don't want to, all right? Eventually, until you just do it. You don't think about
God, bro, that makes me every time I think about that, it
it.
makes me think about like for an example, Big Shirley. Man, you could tell how much discipline somebody lacks, or if they're disciplined in the wrong things
Mm-hmm.
by really how they look. They might have so many pimples. Sometimes it could be become because of hormones, but mainly what you eat, what you
Gone.
put in your body, and what wants to come out. You eat too many peanuts, you
Yeah.
start getting a lot of pimples.
Hey, that's beautiful you brought that out because me and the brother Isaiah were talking about how there's no excuse for anybody not to cook. Every brother should be cooking out there, man. Everybody, because the if you understood what Esau puts in the fucking food, man, you would understand why you feel like shit after you eat out all the time. You know, Everything is filled with seed oils, preservatives, additives, colors, detergents. They put fucking detergent in the food and they rename it. Okay, it's just full of chemicals, man. And your body is like a machine, man. It's like a car. You got to change the oil at a certain intervals. You got to check the brakes. You got to do wheel alignments. You got to make sure the air on the tires is maintained. Okay, if you have lack of discipline with your car, you're gonna end up on the street walking everywhere, man. Okay, and it's the same with your body. Your body will break down with time. Why is that important for this truth? Is because it's through this body that you're gonna be preaching and teaching, going to the highways and byways, making videos, man. And your
God,
energy levels are dependent on your discipline, man. What you eat, how much sleep you get at night. Were you too busy scrolling on YouTube? Now you didn't get sleep. Now your video quality suffers because you're on 3 hours of sleep and you can't remember a certain preset. You know. Now sometimes it has to be done where you don't get sleep and you do what you do, but it shouldn't be a habit. You should have a structure and a order and a routine in place that is conducive to this truth. All right, just like you could think about Kobe Bryant, LeBron James, anybody that's at a high level in their field, they have a routine. They go through training. Even off season, they're doing training. They're
God.
maintaining.
Yeah, bringing up that name Kobe. Kobe he used to actually go out at the end of practice and stuff he would go out, keep shooting
Gone.
until basically shoot until failure. Bro, he wasn't, you know, obviously no basketball player is draining all their shots, but practicing that one shot and perfecting it or
Mm.
trying to perfect it, eventually it's going to come and you're going to start scoring more often. And like you said, most of those people who did that are one of the quote unquote greatest.
Gone.
Like you said, Kobe, LeBron, Curry, they all worked hard.
Exactly, man. And athletics is a great performance. So, that's why I really want to go into it because everybody understands it, man. Even growing up, even if you didn't play sports, you went to gym class. You understood, the more you do it, the better you get. Okay?
Bro. Those people that used to quote unquote hate gym, bro,
Yeah.
I was actually like, that stuff would make me like, bro, are you really that lazy? Like you hate you're that lazy?
Yeah.
Shit. It's like you can't, I don't know, you could pick up a book, but you can't jog. You don't mind doing 10 push-ups?
Yeah.
Like that stuff would make me so mad, bro.
Yeah. No, that's a good point because everybody should have, uh, should do some type of physical activity. Even if you're not, you know, benching a shit ton of weight, you could go for a walk, something to get your blood moving. You know. But yeah, man, I brought out athletics because there's a scripture I want to go into, and we're gonna get some words, some definitions here, man, because it goes good with discipline. Uh, but this is a great example, and the Apostle Paul brought it out, man. All right, athletics in the form of a race. He compared a race that you run with this truth, okay? Because this truth is a discipline. This truth is a branch of knowledge and a set of rules that we follow, okay? And you become better and better at it. The more you exercise that discipline, through the spirit, how about
Gone.
gone? So yeah, let's go ahead and go into that, brother. Let's start at First Corinthians chapter 9, verse 24.
All right, 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 24 says, Know ye not that they which out Salakia, know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize. So run that ye may obtain.
Gone. Because it's like any sport. When you play basketball, yeah, everybody play, but one team's gonna win. And in that one team that wins, you're gonna have a best player, an MVP. All right, it's the same thing with a race. Everybody runs, but only the most disciplined person is gonna win that race.
Gone. It says in 25, and every man that striveth for mastery is temperate in all things.
Con,
Did you want to go into that word temperate?
every man that striveth for the mastery. Let's actually, we're gonna go into the word strive. Strive for the,
Con.
I believe is one word. That's G75. Agonizomai. It says to enter a contest in the gymnastic games with the word contend. Get it real quick. Contend means to struggle, to surmount a difficulty or danger. Right? Now let's go back. To contend with adversaries, to fight. Metaphor, to contend, to struggle with difficulties and dangers. To endeavor with strenuous zeal, strive to obtain something, right? That's that struggle, man. Being in the sewer and just, fighting through that shit, man. You know? It's not pretty. But in that shit, that's where you get the victory, man, in that struggle, in that pain, and continuing to push forward. All right. So now, Baba Koshah, go ahead and read verse 25 again.
Con. And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but but we, Salakia, but we incorruptible.
Con, yeah. So yeah, the people of this world, they fight and use discipline for their jobs to get that promotion, to please their woman, to be Mr. Cool Guy, social butterfly. All right, maybe they're doing videos on other things, man, other video channels and stuff like that, not related to the truth. In order to do what? To make money, to become somebody in this world. So everybody ultimately uses discipline, man. But why use discipline for corruptible crown? Incorruptible crown, life through Yahweh Ba'ashim Shai. So let's go ahead into this word temperate, man, and let's go into it. G1467. Ekratuimai. And it means, look at that, to be self-controlled, to be continent, to exhibit self-government, conduct oneself temperately, man. And a good form of self-government that comes to mind is, creating a routine. If you certain brothers at certain times, don't just leave it up to chance, because one thing will happen, another thing will happen. Maybe they call you into work, some emergency happens, whatever, and then things get all shifted. If you have a routine, you can kind of prepare for stuff like that. Not saying it's always going to be perfect, but that's part of government. Okay, when you think about a government, you think about order. Okay, you can have a to-do list. You can say, okay, the day falls on this day. I used to have that problem when I was new to the truth, was I would forget the Sabbath day, and I would just be bullshitting, and then I'll realize halfway through, like, oh, today was the Sabbath day, damn. And I'm out here doing work, buying a bunch of shit, whatever. Okay, so just little things like that, because it's an all-around discipline. Another thing that come to mind is reading. We have a standard in our camp. We have a certain amount of chapters a week. All right, not forgetting to read, not letting yourself go 3-4 days without reading. Now you got to read 10 chapters in a day. So that goes into self-government. You could say, okay, I'm gonna read 2 or 3 chapters a day, every day, no matter what. I'm gonna find time. I'm gonna schedule it in. Like great example, me and the brother Ratazawan making this video, we have completely opposite schedules right now at work. And we were talking, like, damn, there's really no opportunity. But we found out, today he's off and I get off, at a time this within his awake hours, because he's working nights, I'm working days. So, just planning that out. And then when the opportunity comes, boom, making the video. Instead of being like, oh, my bad, Ratazawan, I was too busy on TikTok, I forgot. We'll do it next. See, but I had to schedule this in, man, because there's a lot of shit in our schedule, daily lives. We gotta work for Esau and take care of this, that, and the third. But this truth is number one, man. Okay, so really, any little window we got, man. I mean, if I have downtime at work, I'm thinking about the lesson I'm gonna make later. That's discipline. Instead of just dozing off, oh, Yanni, I want to relax. I'm stressed out. Fuck that shit, man. Not like this. There's a time for balance. Don't get me wrong. Okay, but it's structure, order. All right. To exhibit self-government, conduct oneself temperately in a figure drawn from athletes. See, who in preparing themselves for the games abstain from unwholesome food, wine, and sexual indulgence, man. Hey, that's deep right there, man. Mike Tyson, when he was in his prime, he said he didn't have sex for 5 years, man. 5 years to build that whatever the fuck we saw, man. Knock a motherfucker out in 7 seconds. Everybody was getting destroyed in the first round. All right.
It was a monster.
That guy was on a whole nother level, man. All right. Because he was willing to do something that other people were not willing to do. You see, nobody's willing to abstain from sex for even 2 fucking weeks, man. All right. And I'm not saying that, that's mandatory. All right. It's lawful to have sex, drink wine. You could eat bullshit food once in a while, go to a restaurant. That's fine. But the point is, to basically moderate these things so that the truth is first. You could abstain from wine and sex and restaurants for a season and see how much you grow in this truth, man. That's a beautiful thing, man. That's a beautiful thing. Instead of putting Yahweh Shai second, put all this other shit second, That's why our forefathers did a lot of fasting. That's why we do a lot of fasting, man. Of course, we got the Day of Atonement once a year, all right? But you should fast more than that if you can, all right? Continue to build that mindset, man, especially right now because we in the time of Jacob's trouble. Jacob's trouble right now, man, is happening, bro. ICE is going around fucking up Jake, all right? Both so-called Negroes and Latinos, man, because we've been seeing it, bro, okay? And what's a Native American? Native American looks like a so-called Latino. Who knows if those so-called Latinos we're seeing on TV are just gad, getting scooped up by these ICE agents, man. Okay, so we're in the beginning stages of that, and it's really good to harden yourself now, man, for this truth. Okay, but yes, a lot of it being all long-winded there, but just wanted to go into that through the spirit here. Let's go ahead and continue, Baba Kushal. We'll go to verse 26.
Verse 26. Well, 1 Corinthians chapter 9, verse 26. I therefore shall run, not as uncertainly, so fight I, not as one that beateth the air.
Yeah, it's like shadow boxing. Yeah, it's a good way to practice, but the practice is for the fight, man. All right, you're not gonna win a fight by air. You got to hit your opponent. You got to actually, if you suck at hitting your opponent, you got to practice hitting your opponent and then actually hit him. All right, we can't just like it says, not as uncertain. So we gotta pinpoint these weaknesses we have and then go into them, attack those weaknesses. For me, it's like organization. We've been doing cold showers. My brother with Tazawan, that was pretty fun, wasn't it?
Man, fun. That's like honestly, low key, yeah. Because the science behind it, apparently it actually raises your dopamine levels. Correct me if I'm wrong, but over some time, you start apparently, it breaks you out of really that mental, all the mental illnesses.
Yeah, it's like he made a good point. The increases dopamine, and so you do it for the benefits. Yeah, it's not fun in the moment, but over time it builds you up. It makes you comfortable being uncomfortable.
It's not instant gratification, being on TikTok, which ultimately that's what it does.
Yeah.
You just scrolling through shit and then you're looking at it and you just don't even know why you keep scrolling. Bro, it's because you're so entertained, you're so into it. You feel as if that's what you need to do.
Exactly.
Well, like that's kind of what I don't know, you're kind of getting the reward out of it. And you haven't done nothing besides scroll. So, yeah, it's like, man, yeah.
Yeah, fuck all that scrolling, man. Yeah, everything's with balance, Akim. I'm not saying, oh, you can't scroll in this truth. You can scroll, but there comes a point, and you should know yourself. When you do it so much, your mind, you can't really focus. You're not reading your scriptures. If you're not reading, it's probably because you're scrolling, man. I found for me, I had to put the phone down for a while. Didn't Elder Ride about that. He's talking about putting down technology for a time or something along those lines. Because
Kind of
this
one of them.
blessing and a curse, you know.
Yeah, it's like, man, you gotta be able to do away with it for just little time at least,
Mm,
because if you can't, that shows how out of control you really are.
yeah, yeah. The
Or
scripture,
it shows your discipline.
God, discipline, yeah. In the scriptures, there's a scripture, roughly paraphrasing, it says, "Don't be insatiable upon meats." All right, but that's a good practice for anything. Don't be insatiable in anything, man. You know, you so addicted to that phone scrolling or just watching random videos for entertainment. You know,
Kind,
mind is entertained, but the mind itself now doesn't know how to keep itself occupied. So now you pick up the scriptures and you doze off, get distracted.
kind.
Gotta do this.
Yeah,
Yeah, man. Those little things affect everything, man.
bro. Yeah, there's actually like there's a study on that shit. That was actually going down during the time of COVID, but after COVID at least. They were
Mm-hmm.
talking about how like the kids, like anxiety at an all-time high, you know, they're all like, I don't know, not satisfied, people not funny no more, can't have a conversation with an adult, can't hold a conversation,
Uh,
you can't, I don't know, can't process emotions properly no more. And
mm,
it's all through that programming, you
yep.
know. Ultimately, you see a lot more schools going through situations now because
Mm,
these kids are so messed up in the head, they don't got no sense.
that's fucked up. That's
So
that generation that grew up with a tablet glued to their face.
and I can't really say I'm perfect because I grew up in that. Like I'm just now in that position where I'm actually thinking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And you gotta put yourself in low dopamine situations too. Like you said, reading the scripture.
John, yeah, reading the scriptures, I mean, and watching lessons is good too, okay? But there
Con,
comes a time where you may end up watching a bunch of lessons for entertainment purposes, okay? And you don't want to be doing that. You want to watch the lessons, build yourself up, all right? Because, I found myself in the past watching some GMS videos, just playing it on my phone all day long. And at the end of the day, I don't even remember what I watched.
bro, especially when I first got into the truth. I started watching video after video after video all day, all day. I'm taking notes and stuff, but it's like, man, I was like, yeah, I gotta go. I gotta go find brothers, man, because
Uh,
I don't think I'm gonna make it too far doing that.
John, and don't get me wrong, it's good to be studious. So if you watching a video, watch it with purpose. Don't just
Con,
because it's entertainment, because yeah, the brothers can be funny or they could say something that's beautiful and makes you like, yeah, the kingdom, or maybe you're pissed off at Eve and you're like, oh yeah, let's hear the brother go in on these Eves, man. But
con. Man, you want that shit? Go watch IUIC.
God, which again is a time for comfort. Okay, so notice how we're talking about balance too, man. Okay, but it's just don't be insatiable. Don't get addicted to anything. Keep it moving, keep it going, and keep that focus, that discipline. The scriptures say, to have your eye be single, right? Single minded for this truth. Okay, not your dopamine, not your feelings, not these other things in the world. But yeah, man, that's it on that. Let's go ahead and get verse 27, Baba Prashad.
Verse 27. But I keep under my body and bring it unto Salaki. But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection. Late, lest that any means when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway.
Yeah. So we got to bring our bodies into subjection, man, into full submission. Your body is your vehicle, man, to do the Lord's work.
God,
Our bodies got to live for our purpose, not our purpose for our body. All right. And I'm gonna get this definition of subjection. G1396. To lead away into slavery, to claim as one's slave, to make a slave and to treat as a slave with severity, subject to stern and rigid discipline. See? So yeah, that's that self-discipline, that self-chastisement. Okay? Your body is a tool for the Lord, man. You know, like the scriptures say, be a living sacrifice.
Yeah, I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
Spirit.
Yeah, because ultimately, bro, it's either you either reaping the flesh or the spirit, bro. That's it.
Yeah, that's it, man. You know? We're going to grab a couple more precepts, Lord's will, and then we'll close out here. Let's go to 1 Corinthians 14 and verse 40.
Con. 1 Corinthians chapter 14, verse 40. Let all things be done decently and in order.
God, yeah, let all things be done decently and in order, right? So the point of that being that everything needs to be in order, man. Got to have your priorities right, putting the Lord first, okay? And this body's comfort should not be above the truth. All right, and then we're gonna go ahead and let's grab one more. Let's just go to 2 Timothy chapter 2 and verse 15.
Con. We have 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 15. Study to shew thyself approved unto the Most High, a workman that needeth not to be ashamed, rightly dividing the word of truth.
Khan, yeah, going into how you got to go into these scriptures, man. All right, the scriptures say meditate on the commandments daily, right? Joshua 1 and 8, meditate continually in these commandments. Why? So that you'll do them, right? Following the laws, statutes, and commandments, rehearsing the righteous acts, building up your faith in Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. Because the scriptures, you know, hearing the scriptures, that builds up your faith. All right, we know we're saved by faith in Yahushai. All right, even though we still rehearse the righteous acts. So studying this word, this Bible, this is a discipline, and it's our discipline. You know, you so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the real Israelites, the real Hebrew Israelites of the Bible. The Lord gave us the law, statutes, commandments only to our people, man. Okay, and you know that's how we do our discipline. We got to study it. All right, and I want to go into this word, a workman, G2040. Ergates, which means a workman or a laborer. You see, it's like when you have the discipline to wake up and go punch in for Esau. Hey, we got to do the same thing, but on a higher level for Yahushai, man. You know, do the best you can. Usually, one who works for hire, especially an agricultural worker, one who does, a worker, a perpetrator. But yeah, man, see this truth is a discipline, man. Just like you need discipline, you gotta understand this truth is a discipline, right? But yeah, that's it on that. You got anything?
Yeah, Con. Yeah, overall, man, no, I ain't got nothing. You covered it.
Well, with that said, Akim, we want to finish off by giving all glory, honor, and praises to Yahweh,
Yahweh,
Bahasham,
Bahashem,
Yahweh Shai,
Yahweh Shai,
Bahasham,
Bahashem,
Chakwarash.
Wachakadash.
Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone, And Shalom Wa, Abad Babal. Shalom.